op meerdere plekken in de Staatsliedenbuurt is gisteravond geschoten met automatische wapens.
In het Scheepvaartmuseum is vannacht een man doodgeschoten. De opdracht voor deze liquidatie zou komen van Benaouf A.
Nou ja, die was echt doorzeefd met kogels.
Er is zoveel verbazing in de omgeving van Youssef.
De schutter kwam het café binnenlopen en begon meteen te schieten. Is het slachtoffer van een persoonsverwisseling.
It was the 29th of December 2012, when something truly shocking happened in Amsterdam. What happened was the culmination of months of tension and violence between two groups that once acted as one, but by now became each other's biggest enemies. One young boy had a very big share in all that had happened. He grew up in a broken home and made bad decision after bad decision, which ultimately led to him entering the Dutch underworld. A world based around drug smuggling, money and a lot of violence. Within just 2 years, he would go on to become one of the most feared in the streets of Amsterdam. And that fear was not unwarranted. He would go on to become the youngest person ever on the Dutch National Most Wanted list for a reason. This is the story of Rida Bennajem. So what happened on that 29th of December 2012 that shocked the entire country? To better understand, we have to go back in time a little. It was early 2012, when a group of men from Amsterdam were awaiting the arrival of 200 kilos of coke they had purchased from South America. The drugs were set to arrive in the port of Antwerp and then transported to Amsterdam to be sold. It would earn them many millions, but things did not go as planned. The shipment arrived in the port of Antwerp as expected, but then went missing. With an average of 20,000 incoming containers a day, it was like finding a needle in a haystack. No one knew where it was, or at least, that's what they said. Turmoil started brewing within the group. Members started to point fingers and became suspicious of each other. The group that acted as one suddenly divided itself into two groups. In the days following the failed shipment, rumors started spreading. Both groups directly accused each other of foul play, creating more frustration and tension. And instead of peacefully hashing it out with each other, a decade-long nightmare was about to start. The leader of one of the groups, called Gwenette, initiated a meeting with the other group led by Hussein Ait S. and Benaouf A. to try and solve the issue. The meeting was scheduled to take place in the Crown Plaza Hotel in Antwerp on the 18th of October 2012. Gwenette sent his right-hand man to the meeting, called Najeb Bouhbouh, but the other group wasn't there to talk. They had something else in mind. Because as soon as Najeb Bouhbouh stood outside the Crown Plaza Hotel, none other than Rida Bennajem came running towards him and shot him 4 times. What Gwenette and Najeb did not know is that Benaouf and Hussein had put a €30,000 price on Najeb's head. This so-called meeting was nothing more than a lure. Just like that, a war that would rage on for over a decade was ignited, and this young man called Rida Bennajem now found himself in the midst of it. After the hit on Najeb, it was only a matter of time before Gwenette Marta, the leader of the opposing group, struck back, and he sure struck back viciously. On the 29th of December 2012 at around 22:30, 4 men were sat in a Range Rover with French license plates in the Staatsliedenbuurt in Amsterdam, expecting to have an appointment with somebody. The 4 men were Benaouf A, leader of the opposing group, as well as Said El Yazidi, Youssef Lekorf, and Rida Bennajem. All of a sudden, a silver Audi RS4 came racing towards the 4 men sat in the car. Within a matter of seconds, multiple men aimed at the Range Rover and unleashed their AKs. The Range Rover was hit over 50 times. Youssef Lekorf and Said El Yazidi desperately exited the car and tried to flee, but they were chased down after just a few meters. What happened next was nothing short of a cold-blooded execution from close range. Benaouf and Rida managed to flee. The shooters ran after Benaouf in an attempt to finish their job, but he managed to escape by jumping into the cold water between 2 boats. What was Rida's role in all of this? Here's where it gets fascinating. Right before the shots started firing, Rida left the car and ran off. That split second caused him to flee unscathed, and none of the gunmen batted an eye towards him nor chased him down. Was he on the attack, I can hear you think? But Rida was part of Benaouf's group. He even killed Najeb. You are correct. However, after that hit on Najeb back in October, Rida allegedly was not paid the 30,000 euros he was promised yet. He allegedly got fed up and switched sides. Although there have also been rumours that Rida had nothing to do with the setup and he just happened to be there. The main target for the shooters was Benaouf. Saeed, Youssef and Rida were just seen as collateral damage. Whatever the case may have been, Rida found himself in serious trouble. Both groups were furious with him. First, he got involved in the death of Gwenette Marta's right-hand man, Najeb, and now he potentially helped set up the attack on Benaouf, where he barely survived and caused 2 of his associates to die. Rumours started swirling in the streets of Amsterdam about whose side Rida was on and questioned what his role was in all this. Rida, just 20 years old at the time, had now become one of the biggest targets in the extremely violent underworld of Amsterdam. But what brought this young man in such an environment? Knowing his history will let it all make sense. Rida Bennajem was born on the 27th of March 1991 in Amsterdam to Moroccan parents. Growing up in Guldenwinkelstraat in Amsterdam West, Rida eventually joined a street gang in 2006. It was named after the area where they hung around, the Guldenwinkelplantsoen group. Together with the boys, he would go on to cause nuisance in the neighborhood. Rida was a small guy, but he wasn't afraid of anybody or anything. Those in the neighborhood knew not to mess with him. A real soldier, as his friends called him. In an attempt to make some money, he started to commit robberies, and he occasionally dealt some drugs. All these crimes led to him being arrested multiple times, but as a minor, he hardly got any punishment, so he just continued down the wrong path. Moroccan social workers that worked in the neighborhood and organized events to keep the youth on the right track saw Rida slipping away. As Rida was so small, he lost some of his fights, which led to him carrying a knife on him. According to friends of his, he was not afraid to use it and had done so many times already. Not much later, Rida purchased his first firearm. Fast forward to the night of August the 7th, 2010, 19-year-old Rida and some friends were in the city centre of Amsterdam. Dutch music artist Mr. Probs and his friend Flex were also present. A shoulder bump between Flex and one of Rida's friends sparked an argument, leading to a fight between them, and others quickly joined the brawl. Suddenly, a loud shot rang, and Flex fell to the ground. Another shot followed, and Mr. Probs also fell. Rida had just shot someone for the first time. Rida and his friends quickly fled the scene, leaving both men injured. Both luckily survived the attack. Nearly a year later, on the 6th of June 2011, Rida made national headlines. And it wouldn't be the last time. Rida got involved in yet another street fight. In a furious rage, he ran home, grabbed his gun, and shot the victim in the leg, despite onlookers pleading with him not to. This incident occurred about 50 meters from his home, but Rida didn't care. He fled the scene, and the police were unable to apprehend him. This incident marked a significant shift in Rida's life. After this, it all went downhill fast. Very fast. Because less than 6 months later, on January the 11th, 2012, Rida stood in front of a jewelry store called Has Gold in the city of Leiden. This wasn't going to be his first robbery, but it demonstrated his increasing recklessness. Accompanied by 2 other men, Rida entered the store. His role was to hold the employees at gunpoint, warning them not to move. Meanwhile, his accomplices filled bags with jewelry, and within minutes, they exited the store. As they attempted to escape on a moped parked outside, the jeweler resisted, and coincidentally, the moped failed to start. In the heat of the moment, one of the men shot at the jeweler. A few moments later, the police arrived, prompting Rida to shoot at them as well. Luckily, no one was injured, and the group fled on foot in different directions. The robbery was a complete failure. Rida's accomplices, Hasi Y and Issam E, were quickly caught and sentenced to 12 and 8 years respectively. According to local rumours, Rida entered a McDonald's, ordered food, and stayed there for a while, though this was never confirmed. If true, it would have been an unusual way to evade the police. Most of the stolen jewelry was recovered the same day. Further investigation and cell phone data confirmed Rida's presence at the scene. This led to his appearance on the Dutch crime TV show Opsporing Verzocht, where he was described as violent and highly unpredictable. Following this violent robbery, Rida was also placed on the National Most Wanted list at just 20 years old. A reward of €5,000 was offered for information leading to his arrest. As months passed, Rida remained on the run, living a life in hiding somewhere in Amsterdam. His money started to run out, and he needed some cash quickly. An interesting opportunity arose. Alleged Amsterdam hitman Redouan Boutaka had a bounty on his head, and Rida, desperate for cash, was willing to do the job. Do you notice the pattern? He went from petty crimes to robberies, to carrying a knife, to carrying a gun, and now he was on the brink of fulfilling his first job as a hitman. On April 22, 2012, it was go time. Redouan and his friends were sat downstairs in a shisha cafe in Amsterdam. Rida calmly entered the cafe too and walked straight downstairs to his target. Without anyone expecting it, Rida pulled out his firearm and shot Redouan Boutaka multiple times. Witnesses were so shocked they couldn't react. Rida then calmly walked back upstairs and left the scene, having successfully completed his task. The suspect description released shortly after matched Rida's slim build and 1.70 meter height. Further investigation confirmed that it had to be Rida. Dutch police then decided to place him on Interpol's most wanted list. This, however, did not deter him. Rida had now become a hitman in the underworld of Amsterdam. His second job was the hit we have mentioned earlier on Najeb Bouhbouh in front of the Crown Plaza Hotel. By age 21, Rida had now committed 2 assassinations and was highly involved in the ongoing feud between the two groups. Both sides were now after him, and he simply got stuck. It was only a matter of time. Despite knowing he had many enemies in Amsterdam, Rida always stayed in Amsterdam. A family insider said, "His mother always wished for his arrest, just so she could be sure he was alive and safe." If Rida had surrendered after the jewelry robbery, he might have served some time and would have been able to start fresh. Instead, he dug himself into a deeper hole, leading to what would happen on the 16th of March 2013. After committing all these crimes, it was now Rida that found himself on the receiving end of a weapon. While walking across the Comeniusstraat in Amsterdam, Rida did not have a clue what was going to happen to him. Out of nowhere, the alleged shooter Solaiman L came running up and shot him multiple times. Solaiman L, reportedly a good friend of Rida, had given Rida a PGP phone with spyware, allowing him to track his movements. PGP messages revealed in court indicated that Solaiman did this for none other than Benaouf A. One of Solaiman's texts to Benaouf read, "Yes man, if you're prepared to pay 50, he's gone." This suggests that Rida was betrayed by 2 acquaintances. This adds credence to the rumours we mentioned earlier, in which Rida repeatedly asked Benaouf for his money, didn't receive it, switched sides, and attempted to set up Benaouf. In retaliation, Benaouf wanted Rida eliminated to stop the money demands and, moreover, punish his betrayal. Solaiman, however, made a crucial mistake. He left behind keys at the crime scene, which were traced back to him through his DNA profile. 2 months later, Solaiman was arrested. Investigators also found a jacket with gunpowder residue in his home, seemingly solidifying the case against him. Yet, after 9 months in jail, Solaiman was granted parole under strict conditions. In 2015, these conditions were lifted, although he remained a suspect. 9 years later, in 2022, the case against Solaiman L was completely dismissed, leaving Rida's family deeply disappointed. 11 years after it happening, there is still no one prosecuted for the hit on Rida. His story is a prime example of how young men can quickly go from causing a nuisance in their neighborhood to becoming a contract killer heavily involved in the underworld. If you have enjoyed this video, please help me out by leaving a comment, a like, and be sure to subscribe if you have not already. It takes a second and immensely helps the channel. On to many more videos.